The thoughts, views, and comments expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on Beyond the Headlines are not necessarily those of management, ownership, or production unit of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without express written permission of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2021.
Coming up tonight, workers on Norman's Key subjected to living and working in shocking conditions. Tonight, the Department of Labor continues its crackdown on independent keys and their violation of Bahamian law. Also tonight, Angliston residents say enough to the increasing numbers of bars littering communities in the area. We hear more of that tonight. While North Eleuthera MP Sylvanus Petty says he has plans for higher office, he said that this week, the Free National Movement is still not in a position to name its candidates. It's all straight ahead for you this evening. This is Beyond the Headlines. Good evening. I'm Shanique Miller. It's great to have you along this evening. Well, tonight, a story that could shake the foundations of a multi-million-dollar development in Exuma. Allegations of abuse, discrimination, and possible illegal activity all happening on a key that's a paradise for many, but for those who work on the key, they say it's nothing but agony. It's an ongoing effort by the Ministry of Labor and the department as well to crack down on privately owned keys. Linton Ritchie Jr. has the story, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
We have a link on one boat captain is we bringing illegal immigrants from Freeport to the island.
Those individuals, according to insiders, are allegedly being brought to the key and would work for weeks at a time, leave and then return without allegedly no work permit, a move that immigration officials could consider a direct violation of Bahamian law. All of this while Bahamians are being pushed out, allegedly fired without reason, while foreign workers, allegedly without documentation, are taking over their positions.
Every time they let someone go is wrongful termination. He don't like you, fire you.
And the work being done, sources claim much of it is being carried out without the required construction licenses. To make matters worse, workers say they aren't even being paid on time.
There's a lot of people on the key suffering now. I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna pay these by them and then by dog. By 30 weeks and then they just go without getting paid.
For those still on site, the conditions are bleak. Bahamian workers describe the housing as military tents with limited food, no health care, and no dignity.
Like it is oppress you seriously. A lot of people y'all getting talked to like they kids, getting treated bad. And these people, most of them racist.
The tension between management and the local workforce goes beyond policy. Sources say Celia referred to Bahamians as, quote, lassie people, a term workers say is both offensive and demeaning. Then there's the environmental side. Celia is accused of ordering the killing of feral cats on the island, claiming they pose a threat to the landscape, raising serious questions about animal rights and ecosystem balance. Overall, workers say the image painted is not what was signed for on the dotted line.
360 different from what the contract state. Now they coming with all type of new rules they trying to put in place.
Well, there you have it. Of course, you see Director of Labor Howard Thompson is leading that initiative along with his team. This is nothing new. It started mainly very visibly with what took place at Great Stirrup Key, and when they went there and had a meeting when several foreign managers were fired by the Regent Cruise Lines. I spoke with Thompson even then, and he says, Shanique, he's been hearing too many complaints from various keys about the treatment of workers, about how they are made to the conditions in which they work, and just so much more. Well, today, he stood on business once again and went to Norman's Key. We saw, of course, what the workers in that story just said in the story by Linton Ritchie. We're going to jump in right here this evening. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines, our contributors, Ellington Ferguson and Glenroy Pratt. Gentlemen, good evening to both of you.
Good evening, Shanique. Good evening, Bahamas.
Good evening, Shanique. Good evening, Bahamas.
It's so difficult to man these keys, gentlemen, to police these keys. Now the Department and Ministry of Labor is paying close attention after receiving complaint after complaint and not being able to sufficiently manage them, or have an oversight rather. But now they are going and they are sort of doing these sting operations, if you will, to be able to see for themselves firsthand what's going on. That obviously is very necessary based on what we saw a moment ago.
Absolutely, Shanique. And I think we alluded to it in the earlier show when we talk about what's going on in Grand Bahama and the government and its agencies paying attention to these agreements and these deals. And we also, with these far-flung keys where these people are doing these development, we've got to pay close attention to what's happening. We cannot just sign these agreements and they say they're going to do this and the government walk away and wait for the grand opening. No, we've got to pay, even after the grand opening, we've got to pay constant and consistent attention as to what's happening.
That labor laws are honored and labor laws are respected, that people, you heard some of the people talk about their living conditions.
And it shouldn't come after people start to complain. There should be periodical scheduled check from the Ministry of Labor and Immigration as to what's taking place on these in these resorts, on these businesses, on these keys. We cannot leave them and just hope and just say that they're going to do the right thing, because we've found that in the past that most of them will not do the right thing. Once they know the ceremonies are over and the government and its agencies are all gone, then they decide and they take advantage of laborers and they're getting millions of dollars. These are most of the time, high-end properties where they cater to wealthy individuals, yet still they want to either pay the staff pittance or treat them less than human. It's incorrect, it's not proper, it's not right. And going forward, we need to make sure that we have all of these things in place when we sign these heads of agreement, that these people be constantly monitored.
You know, the thing is, what I understand is before you actually even supposed to reside in any dwelling, there should have been an occupancy certificate and so on. And so obviously there's a failure in that regard in terms of how these people are living in conditions that are not favorable. You know, the sad part about it is that, you know, when you compare some of the living conditions of such investment that is taking place in the country, you look at some of the working conditions of some of our people equal to that as well. Mm-hmm. It's almost equal. And so what happens is when investors see that we have no sense of pride in terms of what we currently own, they automatically assume that it should be no thing to be in an environment such as the one we've seen. You know, it's unfortunate that that is the case, and the fact is that all governments and all individuals who are actually going in these environments need to have a greater stance on what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. And I think as if we all have that same mindset, then people will treat us the way we deserve to be treated. We just have to now aspire to more and desire more and demand more when it comes to investment opportunities that takes place in this country. We have to stand and take a stand on it.
And be very firm.
Absolutely.
Be very firm in what it is that is Bahamian law, is Bahamian labor law, what the standards are, and then make them honor that. Mm-hmm. Make them honor that. You know, sometimes the people say, oh, but the pay is good, but everything else just sucks. Yeah. And so we see that in this instance. Well, gentlemen, moving along, a newly enforced standard for the government is set to block aspiring business owners from opening liquor stores near churches. Listen, y'all, this is a new day. Eyeliners, listen, no pun intended, I swear. It's a new day. It just came to mind. Because how long, hold it right there, how long have we talked about, in Nassau in particular, church, bar, school, house, a duplex, and it just go, just a whole mess. I mean, a whole entire mess. So get this, you all. So then, this is to prevent bars from being near churches and schools or even other licensed establishments. That one, I'm not sure how that is. In a statement issued this week, the Department of Physical Planning confirmed that it will not approve any liquor license applications within 700 feet of schools, churches, or existing liquor selling businesses. And while that guideline was never officially on the books, officials say it's now a formal position, one that will guide all future decisions. Eyewitness News spoke with Chairman of Town Planning, Keenan Johnson, who says the measure comes in response to a recent red flag involving a proposed location that raised serious concerns. Johnson says the decision is years in the making and comes amid growing public pushback against the rise of liquor stores in residential and school zones.
For some, it's an issue that's been ignored for far too long. For others, it feels like a direct hit to the livelihoods of Bahamian entrepreneurs. The controversy comes as the Department of Physical Planning takes a firm stance, announcing that no new liquor licenses will be approved for businesses seeking to operate within 700 feet of schools, churches, or other licensed establishments. Eyewitness News hit the ground, speaking with business owners and church leaders. Owner of Island Gal Restaurant and Bar on Bernard Road, Brian Adderley, says the real issue may lie in something much simpler: the island's geography.
In the Bahamas, we have a small area for business. I mean, everywhere you go, you can find a church and a school.
Meanwhile, co-owner of Gordo's liquor store franchise, Julian Gordon, says times have changed and the rules need to reflect that shift.
We had police investigating to make sure that those stuff were not in place. And that would determine whether you were granted a license or not.
But what's Gordon's biggest point of contention? He believes a specific group of operators is responsible for oversaturating certain areas.
This liquor store's expanding in these inner cities, it's being invaded. You know, it seemed like, like a virus.
Several communities have been flagged by the public for having a high concentration of bars in their schools and churches, including Balfour Avenue, Robinson Road, Soldier Road, Wolf Road, Fox Hill, and Blue Hill Road. Pastor of St. Paul's Baptist Church in Fox Hill, Reverend George Bodie Jr., whose church is situated next to a liquor store, says he's seen firsthand how spirits in a bottle have become a substitute for spiritual guidance.
Some people drink their sorrows away. People go into situation, go into things, financial strap or relationship strap.
Here on the busy thoroughfare of Robinson Road, a local junior school directly behind me, and adjacent to it, a liquor store. But get this, a ministry directly next to that establishment. It's the perfect depiction, that is, of what local proprietors are saying is an issue that has gotten way too out of hand.
I think it's rather too late. Too little, too late. And as a Bahamian business owner, I mean, it's just sad to see the saturated in liquor store.
The limitations of the country with the square miles and the square footage, and we are constantly building and changing, so the landscape has never been laid out and planned properly.
And while chairman of the Town Planning Committee, Keenan Johnson, has clarified that the new policy will not affect existing businesses, many local proprietors say they're willing to work hand in hand with nearby churches and schools and enforce stronger protocols moving forward. Linton Ritchie Jr., Eyewitness News.
So then, while it's excellent, and I commend you, Johnson, for taking this step, and you and whichever government agency it is with connected to town planning, but what do you mean it won't affect what exists? Do you not see the littering of bar, restaurant, and anything else questionable in between that's just ruining these communities, and even want to dare enter other communities, and some of them are already there? So I think, sir, you need to stand up and you all need to make some decisions, because I'll tell you, most of them are Chinese owned. How is it that many Chinese can get liquor licenses and many Bahamians who own legitimate businesses, you know, restaurant and bar where they want to sell alcohol, are having the hardest time being able to acquire that license? How is it that Chinese can be all over the inner city getting these people drunk and numb, and other people who have legitimate businesses elsewhere have a difficult time accessing the license?
It's us, Shanique. It's of another Bahamian. Many of those licenses that those liquor stores that those Chinese operate, they operate it under the license of a Bahamian. Some Bahamian that have a license, liquor license, and they don't want to continue in business. They just want to relax, lay it back, and just collect a monthly kickback. And I hear Keenan Johnson, very bright young man, but the problem is, I don't know what he's saying as it relates that it's not going to happen anymore. It's already happened.
It's a proliferation
Every
of it.
school, go
And
across.
yes.
At every school, there's a bar just almost across the street. Every church, there's a bar nearby, except that Stringer Church on Marshall Road. But every other place, this already exists. It's already saturated. And stopping it is not going to mean that is not there. It's already there.
It's already been destructive in these
yeah.
communities. You know, he gave an example of people wanting to drink their problems away. Well, that's not, we should not be happy to just sit.
That's not a good example, and it's not true.
We should not be happy to just sit and allow that to continue.
I think it speaks to the lack of proper layout of the infrastructure by government over the years, and we just allow people, if somebody move out of a house, all of a sudden it's a bar. Okay, so it's a lack of government really having a proper plan for the island. We know that initially that the island of New Providence was not planned, but I mean, as we develop new areas, we still fail to plan, we still fail to have a proper drawn out area to say, well, this is where it will be commercial, this is where school will be, this is where clubs or bars would be, and we see it happen with the clubs, the bars, and then we see it happen when we start giving license to the number houses. They everywhere, any building that becomes available, it either becomes a liquor store or a gambling house. And so now we got a new area. I see they clear down in Carmichael Road, and people are just billing. There's no road, there's no layout plan, and everybody just billing wherever they want to bill.
It looks like
so we're doing it all over again.
It looks like, you know, when flea markets used to be prominent in South Florida, and they were just ugly and just look for like a whole mess.
Yeah. Or in the Bahamian shanty towns.
It looked like a shanty town / business area.
Yes.
Further south, further west in Carmichael. Is it still that way?
Yes, and the people are building with no layout plan of a road here or corner here or whatever. People are just building. I'm going right here, now I'm going to build.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And the government is absent in the midst of all of this.
No, it's terrible. I mean, and to have just a feel-good display of words in terms of they are no longer going to allow it is foolishness in my view, because the reality is it's so saturated, there's no place to put it unless you're putting it in the bush somewhere further, west or south. The challenge is that this type of communication is for naught. What's the point of making such a statement as if this has any major impact? When we look at the correlation between the amount of alcoholics and how alcoholism has increased in this country,
yes,
we have to look at that and see
and you heard recently
in our communities
at younger and younger ages.
Exactly. Yeah. And so when you look at our communities, they are impacting mostly the inner city anyway. And the fact is, it's almost like it's a plan to impact the inner city. How in the world and how is it allowed that, as you stated earlier, these Chinese institutions have come in and been proliferated all throughout these communities, selling liquor to our young people, and I assure you that nobody is really having any kind of stopgap to say, oh, you're too young, you can't buy this. And I'm sure some people sending these young people in there to go buy liquor and stuff like that. So this is a bunch of foolishness. They have to decide whether they're going to look at this and decide they're going to shut some of these liquor stores down now, because the reality is it's a major impact on these communities, and people are suffering as a result of it.
People can ill afford to eat healthy, but they will go and buy that liquor.
Yeah,
you understand? Or
crazy.
buy that bad Chinese food. I'm telling you that what is it that, why are we reluctant? And this is now years that it's come to this, reluctant to pull back on a lot of these bad Chinese restaurants that are there and existing, and then the bars that are hidden within the restaurant, or perhaps not even hidden, in plain sight. Why are we allowed to have this continue happening, where the most vulnerable people who would be more inclined to go and get a drink, as you say, to numb themselves? No, it can't happen. We've got to raise the bar in every area and district in New Providence. We really must. Meanwhile, get this, you all, I'll tell you, the people are beginning to speak out and say, man, hold up, this is a lot happening. Outrage in Angliston, as a local resident speaks out against the increasing number of bars opening near schools and residential areas, raising concerns about zoning violations, which don't exist here in Nassau, and the broader impact of liquor licensing on urban neighborhoods. We get the story from Delano Roca, and then we come back.
Outrage. That's the only word Kelvin Pratt could muster. The Angliston resident furious over a new bar opening directly opposite a preschool, calling it an insult to the community and a direct blow to what he calls the last threads of sanctity in Angliston. Pratt says inner city neighborhoods continue to be disrespected, saturated with businesses that bring no progress, adding that these establishments would never pop up in communities where the nation's elite reside.
What do they want? Tearing down the neighborhood, why won't they put these liquor stores in the front of the Prime Minister's home or the Commissioner of Police home? They want to put them in these ghetto areas where the people have no say. They making these making these very bad decisions. This is a very bad decision.
His comments come in the wake of a new policy from the Department of Physical Planning, banning liquor businesses from operating within 700 feet of schools, churches, and other liquor stores. But Pratt says that's a rule that should have already been enforced long ago, and this situation shouldn't have happened in the first place.
They should have done this long time, because when I was growing up, they never had liquor stores every inch of the corner. Every inch in this country, there's a liquor store. Every two buildings, there's a liquor store. What more we need? How much more liquor store we need?
And while the policy may sound promising, Pratt calls it a band-aid on a deeper wound, saying the core issue is the relentless approval of licenses to begin with.
You can't have a school in front of a liquor store. A liquor store. What is no value to this community? Every main corner or every main block, you have a liquor store. This ain't building no economy, it's tearing it down. We need to start closing down these liquor stores or stop giving license.
Delano Roker, Eyewitness News.
Of course, we saw that story there. We have spoken about just how ugly it is to have these bars littering, and it's just no method to the madness. A bar, an apartment building, a duplex, a house, a church, all of it. Clean it up, zone it properly, and get Nassau structured as it can be. Not just in the very high-end areas where people can relax and breathe and actually make sense of life, but let these people too, who live in inner city communities, be able to begin making sense of their lives, because then it spills over if they're not able to. And so thank you so much for that report, Delano Roker. We're back with more of Beyond the Headlines after this break. Stay close.
Need a new car for your business? Well, EV Motors and the Bahamas Development Bank have some news for you.
At the Bahamas Development Bank, we are committed to promoting Bahamian businesses and entrepreneurs. With our green lending program, businesses are able to access up to 100% financing to purchase electric vehicles for commercial and fleet use. We are so excited to partner with EV Motors for this initiative to encourage and empower business owners to drive green.
If you haven't visited our dealership on Tonic Williams Starling Highway as yet, we have a wide variety of brand new EVs from some of your favorite brands like Toyota, BYD, and Mercedes-Benz. As the official distributor of Kerry Commercial Vehicles, we offer a selection of high-performance commercial EVs. Currently, you can purchase the Kerry Cargo Van and the Kerry Elephant Truck, and soon flatbeds and box trucks for all your business needs.
To access up to 100% financing to purchase an EV for your business, you will need to provide us with a few documents: the business plan or executive summary, business license, historical financials, relevant KYC documents, and the vehicle and insurance quote.
With an interest rate of 6.75% and a repayment period of up to 8 years, you don't want to miss this fantastic opportunity.
To apply, visit our website today at bahamasdevelopmentbank.com or give us a call at 702-5700.
7.5 years, but I walk in here all of a sudden, total stranger. I'm calling you Rick and Sheila.
I win. At Island Lock, we take sports seriously. Get ready to experience the thrill of winning anytime and any place. Bet in real time and live the thrill of every play while watching your winnings stack up. It's your chance to score big with fast payouts and a world-class experience. Get in the game and bet the Bahamian way with Island Lock Sportsbook.
If you enjoy watching Beyond the Headlines, take advantage of our exclusive offers with 4 15-minute interview segments at $1,200 and 20 30-second TV ads at $2,000. Contact 557-0258 or 557-0259 for more information. Go beyond with Beyond the Headlines.
This segment of Beyond the Headlines is brought to you by EV Motors. Drive the future with brand new 2024 electric vehicles. EV Motors, powering your journey.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. Well, former Prime Minister Perry Christie is standing firm on his administration's handling of the Baha Mar saga, speaking on the controversial dispute that unfolded during his 2012 to 2017 term. Christie told the media he has no regrets about the way his cabinet managed the high-stakes situation. Recently, the appellate division of the New York Supreme Court upheld a $1.6 billion judgment in favor of Baha Mar's original developer, Sarkis Ismailian, dismissing an appeal by China Construction America. Now, despite criticism over delays and political fallout, the former Prime Minister defended the decisions made under his leadership, saying they were in the best interest of the Bahamian people and the long-term success of the multi-billion-dollar resort.
Ismailian did not die, did not go into bankruptcy that would cause Bahamians not to have the opportunity that they now have. And so our only intention was to ensure that the matter was heard in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, so we fought the jurisdiction issue, and the matter was heard in the courts in the Bahamas, and that everyone in the Bahamas who were in those courts would have an opportunity for fair hearing. The decisions were made. The Export-Import Bank assisted the Bahamas, that is the China Export-Import Bank, assisted the Bahamas in being able to bring for Bahamians everything that they were entitled to, notwithstanding bankruptcy. So I have no regrets about that. And it was not a question of siding with anybody. It was a question of ensuring that justice was done.
Well, meanwhile, during the legal proceedings, it was claimed that China Construction America, the contractor behind the massive Baha Mar project, paid $2.4 million to a company controlled by the son of Sir Baltron Bethel. Bethel was not only a senior policy advisor to the Prime Minister, but also played a key role.
As you know, almost a generation, okay? Over 40 years, okay? I pride myself in the integrity I brought to my office and I brought to my administration. It is public knowledge or public notice, okay, what the courts have said. Okay, I'm not a part of that. Okay, and the one thing that I will always take pride on is, in fact, that Baha Mar is open. Thousands of Bahamians are employed. Every Bahamian contractor got the money they deserve to get. Every Bahamian franchise holder got their franchise, and every member of the staff got their money. I was able to acquit myself as Prime Minister and leader of my government in being able to deliver to the Bahamas a defining product. Full stop.
Of course, Sir Baltron Bethel played a key role in the negotiations of the resort, and this is what I meant to finish in that sentence. But gentlemen, your thoughts on Prime Minister Christie saying, listen, he has no regrets. His whole focus and intention was getting that open. It's now opened. It's serving the Bahamian people, and it's wonderful. I just almost want to know, though, like, there almost appears to be no consideration for the original owner and his vision.
Well, and that's concerning, because the reality is, if it wasn't for the original owner, the whole project would not have been here. You know, and the thing about it is that we can't be so dismissive when it comes to people making major investments in our country, because it sends a message to the other investors that potentially will come. And the fact is, when you have people in your own administration that are intimately involved and there are benefits to those individuals, and then decision seems to be favoring the side that is not in the investor side, because it seems that those individuals who are closely involved are more favored, it creates a suspicious perception of what the government's intent is. And so we have to be very careful in those instances. And so he can't be so dismissive of the fact of all the controversial stuff that transpired after, you know, that whole deal was signed. And perhaps, you know, one of the things that I take note in the fact that he said, his administration and his cabinet. You know, isn't it ironic that his cabinet consists of the current prime minister, who also stated at that time what they did, they felt was right. And so in that same vein, do we have another investment thing that is now at the forefront? What kind of things can happen with this new investor?
What are you trying to do? You're trying to look down the pipeline to say this could turn into a Baha Mar?
You just never
obviously,
know.
Obviously, you're talking about the Grand Bahama, Grand Lucaya sale
Yes.
and plans that were revealed yesterday. Right. Ellington, is Glenroy reaching?
No.
I think for the most part, I agree with his first statement. I think with his latter part, he started to reach in. You know, he was reaching a little tall. But I agree for the most part with his first part of his statement. And while we're all happy that the property is finally open, Bahamians are working, the country is benefiting from it economically, my real concern is the issues that came out in this whole court proceeding in the U.S., where it was mentioned and it was not refuted that our government official and the son of Subaltern Battle was named as conspiring to get this hotel from Mr. Sarkis's Marillion in an unjust manner. That is my concern. How far did this go? If it went to the Prime Minister office, to Subaltern Battle, did it go beyond Subaltern Battle? Was Prime Minister Christie and the cabinet aware of this plot? That's, you see, when our country's name is being mentioned in this light, that is not a very favorable light. It does not look good on the international stage with other investors and people looking at our country to do business probably in the future. So that is my concern.
And again, I agree. And the point I made is this. They both stated that they felt like they did what was right, which means you haven't learned anything. That means that you haven't even taken the responsibility for all the things that transpired, which means that there's an opening for something else to happen again with new investment coming into this country.
So then, Glenroy, stall all investments until you can say, I am absolutely sure that there will not be nothing untoward, let's say at Grand Lucaya, for example, well, whatever it's going to be renamed,
right.
But at that
Which
that
you
opportunity.
will never be able to
Well, you can't do that, but at the same time, you must make sure that there is no private individual interest that comes before the collective interest of the Bahamian people. And if individuals within your scope or within your reach, individuals who seems to have their own interests at the forefront, you definitely have to keep those people out of the negotiations and not have them in part of your whole situation. It still tells me, though, that there are some individuals within the government, because some of them still play a part, that potentially have their own interests at play. And so that creates skepticism, and that causes you to have a jaded eye as it relates to what now is the benefit of the overall grouping of the Bahamian people, because we got to be careful when it comes to such investment opportunities.
Well, I know that you're obviously trying to head somewhere. We'll get there in a moment. However, gentlemen, in a surprising political development, get this, you all. Progressive Liberal Party Member of Parliament for North Eleuthera, Sylvanus Petty, made headlines on Wednesday with a bold declaration outside Parliament, announcing his intention to one day become Prime Minister of the Bahamas.
What?
Now, the statement comes on the heels of another revelation that Petty confirmed he will not seek re-election this coming general election in North Eleuthera, while the announcement raised eyebrows all across the media, social media, everywhere within political circles as well. Petty remained confident about his future ambitions, signaling a potential shift in his political trajectory on the national stage.
Like I said before, I'm going to take a break, 5 years, and when I come back, I'm coming back to be the Prime Minister of the Bahamas. Mark my word. Well, it's some things that I have to strategize. It's a strategy that I'm trying to deal with right now. So to get me in place to be the next Prime Minister. Well, we have to move and progress. I think there's a lot of things that we have to do. And I mean, I will reveal everything in the next 5 years, trust me. But it's going to be something that the Bahamas, the whole Bahamas, can be proud of.
Gentlemen.
I paid close attention to him. I paid close attention to him.
Justin, pull up that laugh track. Pull it up. What you said, Ellington?
I looked at him. His lip doesn't look dark, so that I had to rule that one out. And I mean, I want to say to him though, the same reason why you're not running this season / would have not gotten the nomination in any event.
What do you mean he wouldn't have gotten the nomination?
It's the same reason why you're not coming back and you won't be prime minister. First of all, you got to be leader of a party. I don't see that happening in at least 120 years.
Ellington, what do you mean he would not have gotten a nomination? I did not see that.
The man is a smart man to decide not to come back.
Yeah.
He read the tea leaves.
What leaves were there that, because by all appearances, he's been a good MP.
He was on the chopping block. He was one of several on the chopping block. And so he's a smart man in that regards. The other regard, I don't know what's going on in his head, but he's coming back and going to be the... I don't know, I don't understand these young people. I mean, you give them, and they ruin it just like that.
You know, it's so much comical to hear him say he's coming back in 5 years. I mean, as if he's definitively saying that he has the future in his hands and he determines what will happen in the next 5 years. It's comedic at best. You know, isn't this the same individual whose daughter, I think, was hired under his reign in terms of, you know, as in the water and sewage situation, the scandalous scenario in that regard? I mean, we can't. It's just comical, you know. I don't see what kind of drive that he has that will give the Bahamian people any kind of desire to have him there and play. I mean, and the same gentleman after, you know, I think when the mace was thrown out the window the other day, I mean, I don't know if he was even barely touched, and he couldn't last for a period of time.
You cannot speak on what the man, whether or not he was injured. He did go to the hospital.
I tell you what, he was out for a month.
He wasn't. No, I did not.
He was out for quite some time.
Really,
you know?
I didn't even recall that.
Yeah. All members of parliament vying for running for these constituency should go through a psychiatric evaluation. Every one of them. All for
But don't want to say you question this man's mental health?
All members of parliament should go through psychiatric, because we've seen several of them in this time, government and on the other side, who look like somebody leave a couple of the screws while they're putting them together.
Name another.
Huh?
Well, you know these guys. You know, what's the other guy?
You got him.
Connor said he
you
was
got the prime minister of Abaco. You know? Then you got the other guy from out there in the east, the white guy.
Oh boy.
What's his name?
Adrian White.
Adrian White.
They're just loose. I mean, somebody didn't put all the screws together.
Man. I don't know if they get some indication that it's okay to try and pull like a Trump or something, like, I don't know. But listen, you gotta be able to walk into that and fill that space when you want to make grandiose statements, eh? And so Adrian White has tripped over himself. Sylvanus Petty has tripped over himself. Who's the next person?
Cornish.
Cornish.
The Prime Minister of Abaco.
Who said he's the Prime Minister of Abaco? Listen.
He's the HNIC in Abaco.
The head. That's absolutely.
Macintosh, who's Houdini?
Macintosh who?
Houdini.
What did he say?
He do magic, he's vanished.
It's very interesting. As speculations intensify over who will represent the Free National Movement in the 2026 general election, a recent social media post has sparked interest, suggesting that F&M Chairman Dr. Dwayne Sands may be eyeing the St. Anne's constituency. Now, this right there, of course, you know, this is also Week in Review Friday, so this was from a couple days ago. However, I saw, I think it was yesterday, Adrian White saying he running again, and he running in St. Anne's.
Yes.
But he just has been so underwhelming. Anyway, the same post also hinted at a possible return to frontline politics for former MP and Cabinet Minister Shivargo Lying. You guys saw that?
Interesting. I heard that.
You guys saw it, yes?
I heard it.
Amid the growing chatter, the party has made one thing very clear. That former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis, who still represents Killarney, is not expected to be part of the F&M slate of candidates. When pressed by reporters this week, F&M leader Michael Pintard remained tight-lipped about when the official list of candidates would be revealed, stating only that announcements would be made in due time.
We will keep the public posted on all of our decisions related to candidates going forward, and the process is occurring as we have planned it.
So can we anticipate these candidates anytime soon?
We will know. We will.
A lot of speculations coming up.
We will keep you posted. We'll give you no further timelines at this juncture. We will keep you posted, but the process is underway in earnest.
Well, meantime, of course, Pintard says he took no offense to former party leader Hubert Ingram's comments on party unity, bringing the party together. And so, guys, what are your thoughts on the fact that the FNM has had one postponement after the next since last year? Was told that it'll happen by the end of the year, didn't. Told then it'll happen at the beginning of the year, didn't. Told it'll happen May 1st, it didn't. And now they're still fumbling, it seems.
Shanique, with all that's going on in the Free National Movement, I'm not surprised that they didn't meet those times that they gave to roll out their candidates. However, I am not overly concerned. It's in Michael Pintard's purview to do it whenever he wishes. I believe I really believe Michael Pintard has some kind of a strategy that he's kind of worked as it relates to the timing of the releasing of their candidates. I believe they have a number of persons, more than enough. I know there are some persons on the ground. I don't know whether they have ratified a number of them, but persons are, one constituency has about 3 or 4 persons vying for the position, and I think...
but people are saying this is time now to kind of fine-tune that, no?
But again, people are saying that, they're calling for that, but it's within his purview, and I believe, I really believe that Mr. Pintard has a strategy that he's working.
Yeah, I think there's a strategy, obviously, to select the right individual who would lead the different constituencies. I personally believe, though, that there is needing to make some definitive answers in terms of who those individuals are, because time is running out, in my view. The fact is that people are becoming closely in love with the individuals who are walking the beat, and whether it's 2 or 3, the fact is that when now you make a final decision and you now select that one person, the other people are going to feel like, okay, you kind of gypped me and all this other stuff. And so obviously, I think they need to get on the ball in terms of making that selection process. But I believe in due time it'll come. The other thing is, the longer they wait, the more we see the current government is just continue to bumble in some areas. And so it just gives them great opportunities to make sure that they select the right people to go after those seats that are currently needing to be taken away.
By the way, before we go to the break, Eyewitness News on Wednesday, right after Sylvanus Petty made his statement, we did our poll, our nightly poll, the daily poll that we talk about in the news every evening and sometimes here on Beyond the Headlines. So you were asked, do you believe Sylvanus Petty would make a good Prime Minister of the Bahamas? 6% of the participants says yes. Of course 6%? He would.
Who
yes, 6%. 84% of you. 84% of you said no. 10% said you're not sure. And so, of course, that's what that is. Beyond the Headlines is backward after this.
The internet isn't just for surfing. There's a sea of shoppers buying online, and you can connect with them on Tingsy. Tingsy is the SBDC's online storefront built for Bahamians. Take your business to the next level by selling to customers online, both at home and around the world. People want Bahamian things, and if you got things to sell, sell on Tingsy. Find out how you can connect with a sea of buyers by visiting tingsybahamas.com.
Tired of driving around from place to place just to get your car insured and licensed? Frustrated with the process of being back and forth from your insurance company to road traffic? Well, BMG Insurance Agents and Brokers just made insuring and licensing your motor vehicle as easy as 1, 2, 3. Step 1. Visit us at the Road Traffic Department, Section 1, Thomas A. Robinson Sports Stadium. At our office, you can purchase or renew your insurance or get your vehicle inspected. We at BMG Insurance Agents and Brokers represent major carriers. Step 2. See the professionals at Road Traffic to get your vehicle licensed. Step 3. Enjoy your day. Insure with BMG Insurance Agents and Brokers today, saving you time and money. Your one-stop shop for all of your insurance needs. Great rates, convenient, excellent service. For more information, call us at 322-2221.
So you want a space. But not just any space. You need something with a little more potential. So how about 1,000 square feet of room to play with? Superb audio and video production capability, digital LED wall, full lighting grid, and about 124 seats to accommodate a full studio audience with so many other features. Make us your home for your next concert, conference, and so much more. Honestly, the possibilities are endless. Here at ILTV Studios, we'd love to bring your next event to life. So what do you say? Do you want our space?
If you enjoy watching Beyond the Headlines, take advantage of our exclusive offers with 4 15-minute interview segments at $1,200 and 20 30-second TV ads at $2,000. Contact 557-0258 or 557-0259 for more information. Go beyond with Beyond the Headlines.
Well, in Grand Bahama, the Grand Lucaya $827 million deal for the sale and development of that property was signed yesterday. A surprising sidebar, though, the absence of the opposition and member of parliament who happened to be voted in office in Grand Bahama, serving constituencies there. So there was no opposition presence. Of course, we know we can just kind of, maybe just for a moment, talk about what was announced. And Glenroy says, listen, we have to see this in play first. And so you're right. We understand money's in the bank. That's all important. But then, of course, for all of this, I mean, it's a grand project as far as it was shared yesterday, with so many things at play and so many moving parts that's going to make this the thing that if it happens the way it's being told to us yesterday, this is going to set Grand Bahama's economy up for many, many, many decades ahead. And so certainly we're all very happy for that, because Grand Bahama's economy has been in the doldrums for decades. And so this is quite good. And so, gentlemen, I want to give you both an opportunity to maybe just respond to what was announced and the fact that so many Grand Bahamians are hopeful. Many who abandoned home and homes and whatever else they had going on, families even in Grand Bahama, are now returning, and they're returning almost daily. I just on Monday on this show, I spoke with two gentlemen who are business owners in Grand Bahama, and they said it's so good to see the houses that were abandoned for the last few years are now being lived in again, because those families are returning, the people are returning because of what's taking shape in Grand Bahama.
Yeah, certainly it's an opportunity for a lot of Grand Bahamians to have an opportunity to get their lives restarted in ways that will help them elevate. Obviously, there are some good opportunities that will come about as a result of this major investment, but there's also some other things that needs to be keenly watched and carefully treaded upon. Obviously, the statements of it being money in the bank, I think we heard that before, and that didn't come to fruition. The fact is that there is some skepticism because of the fact of what was stated on multiple occasions about purchasing, and all these things happening. We have over-reliance on the tourist dollar. There are a lot of challenges right now, too, in the tourism market, so we have to be careful and understand that there are times that, we have a shared market, whereas now, if such a large investment takes place, that means are we going to have less tourists that will come to Nassau or rotate themselves as Nassau not being the opportunity, and they'll go to Grand Bahama. There's another thing, there is no definitive date on when this thing will be completed. That gives me pause as well. You can have all the grand announcement, but there's no timeline that states this is going to be completed by this particular time frame, which also kind of causes me to have a little bit wariness in that. We're coming up upon a hurricane season. What delays that could have in terms of any type of construction efforts that are being made towards building this infrastructure. And we have seen over the last several years the velocity and the strength of these hurricanes, how much of an impact that's going to have. So there are lots of different things that can come as hindrances towards having this thing completely up and running and geared towards making the Bahamian experience greater. My concern also is we have such an investment, right? But sometimes when we make these investments, what stake does the government have in it other than just jobs? Let's look at these signing opportunities that they're going to be X amount of jobs. but does the Bahamian people have any stake in ownership in such major investment? Because what happens in a lot of instances is when these type of investments take place, Bahamians go on the job, sometimes through whatever situations occur, sometimes they may lose their job, and now they don't have an opportunity to ever go back into that institution or even in that place of employment, so they are now cut off from any economic opportunity because now a foreign investor has ownership of that particular investment, and now they're shut out from the opportunities of an investment like that. And so there are no protections for the Bahamian worker in those instances, because we'll have people who are transiting in and out. And when I say transiting in and out, you have foreign expats who may come in for a year or two, work, fire Bahamian, you never see them anymore. That Bahamian can't even get a job 10, 15 years later, they're still trying to get that job back. But that person who fired them is no longer on the scene and no longer even coming back to the Bahamas. So these are protections that we need to have in place to ensure that the Bahamian people are protected when these types of investment goes in. But I'm hoping and I'm prayerful that it creates the kind of experience and the kind of opportunities that we certainly know that Grand Bahamians need and the Bahamas at large needs.
Shani, I am very optimistic about this new agreement, this signing in ceremony that they had on yesterday. I listened to the entire thing, and I heard all of the players, those that were going to be responsible for doing the casino, those that are going to be doing the golf course. Each person is not, again, a developer that come and talk about this grandiose thing. Everybody that's involved, what they're representing, again, the U.S. Charge d'Affaires, who knows of this group, who knows the work that they've been doing throughout the U.S. and in the Middle East. She was there talking and touting developers and their track record and their faith in this project and the partnership with the U.S. with the Bahamas. I'm very optimistic in this. This was not about, yes, the Progressive Liberal Party is the government administration of the day, but this was about Grand Bahama. This was about the people of Grand Bahama.
Much needed.
Right here on this show, we slapped the government up plenty time trying to find out what's going on with the Grand Lucaya Hotel. When are we going to hear something? The government have, we know with the earliest attempt that they tried when they announced it and it fell through, they sat back and they waited and they worked all of their kinks and everything out on this one to make sure that when they bring it out forward to the Bahamian people, I think a few months ago the Prime Minister signaled that they are talking, but they didn't want to say anything until they get everything on a solid and down pack. They finally bring it out to us. I think it's a very good plan. I love what I'm hearing. This was about Grand Bahama. This was bigger than the Progressive Liberal Party. These people, Grand Bahama, the people in Grand Bahama have shouts of joy today. They welcome this project, this and the many others that are happening now in Grand Bahama. And so we got to be careful. And I was disappointed in the Free National Movement. I spoke to it on last night, and I said if the Progressive Liberal Party did not send them an invite, it's shame on them. And if the FNM did not go, and find out when I did my research that they was sent an invitation.
Yes.
I mean, even the Honorable Hubert Alexander Ingram was at this ceremony. This is about Grand Bahama. This is about people. We must know when to sit our politics aside and be about people.
The former Prime Minister was at the ceremony?
Yes, Hubert Alexander Ingram was there at the ceremony. We got to know when to set these things aside. We've touted, we've rowed about Grand Bahama. We say we can't get it right. We row about, when is the sale for our Grand Lucaya? And then here it is now. We have something on the table. Rather than all of us come together, let's see how this looks. Let's talk with those developers. Let's get an inside scoop on things and the possible next government, the possible Prime Minister in waiting, should the Bahamian people decide to go that way, is absent, is there. You're absent from Grand Bahama. You're absent from the people of Grand Bahama.
Yes.
You're not there to celebrate with the people of Grand Bahama who celebrated this, who welcomed this.
Who are happy for it, who welcome
Absolutely.
it and are
this
praying
is about
and
Grand
hoping
Bahama.
that it works. Glenroy, your response?
I don't doubt that the opposition do not support any opportunities Grand Bahamians would feel. I just feel that the opposition is skeptical on who the presenters are of such opportunity. Don't forget now, in the midst of this, there have been several made grandiose announcements about deals being had and things going through and all this other stuff that fell through the crack. In addition to what I said earlier, relative to...
But that doesn't mean it shouldn't be a celebration
No,
and
you
an
can
optimistic
celebrate, but
attitude.
If you get an invitation, show up to see what it's about.
You don't have to show up.
Because remember, Ginn was a multi-billion
And what
dollar,
happened again?
It fell.
And somebody must be drinking
You
gin.
remember Baha Mar?
Yeah.
You remember Baha Mar?
But again,
it's not a real signing.
But let's
we
not
will
forget,
officially
there
open
were
it when we get
individuals
it.
There were individuals.
Then Oban is so many slip-ups.
Yeah, but Oban was signed, and that was a big deal too, right?
So many slip-ups on both sides. The thing is, be in place, be in the room, show the people that guess what? Regardless of whatever it is, you are rooting for them. It's them who will benefit. It's their lives that's going to change. It's the quality of their lives and the opportunities that will be at their fingertips. Should this happen, that we all should celebrate and be very happy.
These are investors that Pintard may very well have to be working with.
I think, and there's nothing wrong with that.
He represents this constituency.
And it will happen.
This ain't Can Island or San Salvador.
Here's again,
Exuma.
I still believe.
Grand Baha Mar.
I still believe that.
F&M stronghold.
What I believe sometimes when it comes to investment and any type of opportunities, we become so overjoyed to the point that we get giddy.
This was too big.
And I believe that in those
politics.
instances, that's where investors look at us as a bunch of jokers. We have to sometimes show a stoic look, and sometimes we can't always show that we're so desperate in need of such opportunities. No, I believe that.
Yesterday was in a desperate moment.
I believe
yesterday was a moment because the
we are in a desperate state of need for Grand Baha Mar. That's a fact.
Negotiations were done. So yesterday was not a desperate moment. Yesterday was a moment to show up and say, listen.
I still believe that.
And let me highlight something, Shanique.
And we're good.
Let me highlight something.
But there's still so many unknowns in this deal, though.
Let me highlight something. This was something. Hold on, give me a start.
Go ahead.
This is something where we went on Biscayne Boulevard, and in the shop we meet somebody who got on big gold chain and say we got a hotel in the Bahamas. This was something that was done by the professionals that we put in the market. Mr. Kurt Hollingsworth, who was in the office in Miami, who met these people, took them to Grand Baha Mar, take a look at the property, then he went and introduced them to the Prime Minister.
Did that happen with the last situation that was announced? All the same things happened.
A storm came to Grand Baha Mar and destroyed the hotel.
Okay, so when is the project going to start?
Again?
Someone tell me when it's going to start, when it's going to complete it, right? Tell me.
But we want to know timelines, Glenroy. Legitimate question.
That's legitimate.
And so guess what?
We want to know. Wait a minute. We
I
want
know
to know
they did say that
timelines.
started
The only
immediately.
thing we want to know, well, it started immediately. It started yesterday. However, they said, but they did say that in 90 days the project starts. What phases? The timelines for those? When people are going to get to work? Our construction jobs obviously will be available shortly. But the thing is, we do need more information. We also need more information about the airport, about the pier that's going to accommodate the cruise ships and all this stuff. And so yes, there are other areas to plug in and be able to make clear. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I thank you, gentlemen, very much. I thank you all so much. They hung out with me all hour long, and this was really awesome. I also thank you for hanging out all week long and tonight as well. It's been awesome having you around all week, and look forward to seeing you right back here next week. For the entire Beyond the Headlines team, I'm Shanique Miller. Make it a blessed weekend, everyone.
Ready for Prime Minister?